Yeah, first, just, all our thoughts and prayers and feelings are with Cam. Obviously, a devastating circumstance of the injury. And I think you've heard some of the players immediately talk about Cam's presence on the floor is one thing, but she has a positive vibe and a presence about her on a daily basis that brings joy and uplifts our team, and certainly something that we will miss. And I think you heard De'Erica Hamby and some of our players immediately talk about just what a special person she is. And so while she'll continue to be around, really disappointing for that. In terms of her play on the floor, I thought she was off to a tremendous start. I think we all saw the impact that she was having and can continue to have at the defensive end. When you deep dive and get past traditional analytics and you look at some of the deep analytics on how she was protecting the rim, how she was altering shots, blocking shots, affecting our defensive presence around the basket was just outstanding and comparable to a lot of people who eventually were defensive players of the year in this league. So it can't be understated on the potential she shows at that end. The offensive end, while inconsistent, was very excited about the tools that are in the tool bag, and that she's a capable stretch post player. She's capable off the dribble. She's underrated with her back to the basket. And a lot like what I went through in her rookie year with JJ. And, the best way to defend Cam early was to try to beat her up and be really physical with her. And she was adjusting to it. And there was moments where she handled it better than others, but was always graceful to herself that these were learning lessons and that she had to learn how to play at this level against the physicality and the talent that is in the 4-5 position in this league. So what I most heartbroken about for her is, all encompassing the Olympics, our team, but just the experience that she would have gone through in this rookie year. And this road trip was a perfect microcosm of that. We started in Seattle against Nneka and Ezi. We went to Fee and Smith, and then we traveled down to Cheyenne and Tina. And then we went and, had the fun time of AT and Breezy. And we were going to end back-to-back games with JJ and Stewie. So, that road trip alone for her, there's no better teaching tool than we can do on a daily basis than just let her experience that. So, I just heartbroken that she doesn't get all those teaching and learning lessons throughout the year.
Hi, Curt. In building off of that, something that I've just noticed, you alluded to this about players on your own team, but it hasn't just been Sparks players. Like, the entire women's basketball community has overwhelmingly been united in these past 2 days, making sure that Cam gets that support. So I'm just curious, especially amid so much of the, disagreement and discourse as of late about the rookie class, what is it about Cam that has allowed her to bring people together?
Yeah, I think it's obvious that she's a unifier, and it doesn't matter black, white, straight, gay. She just accepts everybody and is genuine. Every time you talk to Cam Brink, there's a genuineness about it, and that she cares for everyone. She's conscious of history, and there's people before her. She's conscious of what's going on in the moment with our game and socially. And so it's just a tremendous unifier of people in this league. And I think you saw that through the support. Again, from rookies to veterans, there's been an outpouring of support for her.
I know it's more you talked about, unintended consequences of it and realities that you kind of get into last year too. I guess for Rakia, what do you see then as maybe the unintended consequences of Cam's injury, and what is happening for her role, and what you kind of want to see for her going forward?
Yeah, it's interesting. Rakia has been a part of the unintended consequences since day one. The April disappointing news of Azurá Stevens' serious injury had her come into camp with a lot of reps at the 4 position and played a very larger percentage at the 4 than the 3 in training camp, even though we were throwing a lot at her, and her versatility allowed us to be able to explore a lot of things. As we got into some games after the initial knowing she was going to have to provide us some depth without Azare in the post, we've really morphed into Rakia playing primarily a large percentage of the 3. And she's been able to settle in there and settled into our starting lineup, and her minutes and her production at the 3 position has been outstanding. Unintended consequence now she has to probably play some more minutes back at the 4. Will be great to show her versatility. We'll get her different type of looks, but also it puts her back in the best position in the world, who is around the league. She's going to get more touches. She's going to, she has to be able to extend minutes and play a lot of variety of positions. So she's going to be learning a lot of being able to go back and forth. But she's a sponge. She's competitive. She wants this team not to just build, but to win. We're not settling just by being competitive. That is not what we're about. We're proud that we're competitive in games, but we ultimately want to put ourselves in position to win. So I'm excited about what it looks forward for Rakia. She's an incredible offensive talent, and really growing fast at the defensive end. The other night, she really competed against Awana, and DB is, historically, while underrated, a top 10 scorer in every statistical category that you can talk about. And she went head to head with Awana and competed.
Hey, Curt, a couple things going on. In terms of Rakia, what you're saying about the defensive and a couple more roles, does that create maybe a little more complicated challenge than you were hoping for in terms of what has done with play for those assignments and for the rotations you've been needing to get solid with?
Yeah, what's complicated is you don't have any opportunity to practice. And I can't tell you how much chartering has helped this trip that we're on. We're playing 9 games in 18 days in 6 different cities. When do you practice? When do you practice? So the complicated part of it is that it's hard to fix things. It's hard to work on things. For someone like Rakia to get reps in a practice situation, floating back from the 3 to 4, it's just really, really difficult and almost impossible on a road trip that we're on. And so, that's what's hard. You see it even when Becky talks in her press conferences in Vegas, right? You plug one hole and another springs open, but you can't practice. So for a rookie, it is what it is this year. It's an Olympic year. The cadence is difficult. It's hard to be on the practice floor with any kind of duration or intensity. You're just trying to get them to the next game, the next game, the next game. So these guys' laboratory, these guys' classroom this year is in games. And so what's valuable is being able to talk to Rakia after the games. How are you out of timeouts tonight? How are you out of quarter breaks? How are you out of halftime? Were you able to take some of the things that we told you in a 2-minute window, a 15-minute window, and how did you adjust to those? Those are really important segments for Rakia.
And is it fair to say that Steph Talbot taking on more minutes of late, and that sort of helps keep things sort of answered?
Yeah, she has, from where she was in training camp, obviously first year out of an ACL injury is always difficult in this league, but has really found more comfort level. Now there's someone that we're throwing everywhere, she's playing 3, she's playing 4, and since we started this road trip, it's like, okay, give us some minutes against NECA, give us some minutes against B, give us some minutes against AT. And she doesn't bat an eye and goes in there and is the ultimate utility player for us right now. And I'd like her to really stand out in front of her national team coach today.
Kurt, when I asked you about, right here, Kurt.
Yeah.
When I asked you about your bond so far with WNBA, that lovely moment that you had last week and that announcement you had on how that was great at half court, just your bond with her so far, how well she's played, as well as how the team has rallied around Cameron over the last 40 years.
Yeah, De'Erica has, and again, this is not a flash in the pan 1 week, 2 week stretch. She earned that Player of the Week honors, but she walked into camp in great shape. She walked into camp in a really good place mentally. So physically, mentally, she came into camp in a great place. It was tough last year. The unexpected trade right off the birth of Legend and her second child. And then ultimately was the only player on our roster that was able to stay healthy and play 40 games. And in that, remarkable what she went through and was able to do it. But she would be the first to admit that she wasn't physically or mentally as strong as she could be. And she came in with that mentality this year and was very verbal from the beginning that she wants to be an all-star. And she was even, bold enough to say that she hopes to get one MVP vote. And she's played like that. She's led like that from a post position for us as a leader, and even shouldered more when the April injury of Azurá Stevens and the April injury of Julie Aleman, knowing that she was going to have to step up even more in a leadership role. She's been nothing but terrific. She's tired. I played her 40 minutes the other night, and she's limping through the other night, her 33 minutes. So she's some of the wear and tear of this road trip is wearing on her, but her motor is incredible. It's always been what's special about her. And while she's not 100%, she's just gutting it out for us, and tremendous leader. And I mentioned that the support, not only within our organization, but league-wide, fans have just been outstanding for Cameron, and it's really nice to see the universal support for her.
You spoke a little bit about the universal support, but what advice have you given Cameron to help her keep her spirits high as she takes on this new recovery?
Yeah, my advice is, this is a journey, and she's got to lean into the emotions. She's going to have different stages of grief, and her stages may come in different orders than someone else. And it's okay, to grieve. This is a really, difficult injury for her. So, my advice is to lean into it and not avoid it, and then just ultimately we're all there for her. And Reagan and the organization from top to bottom has been first class in supporting Cam through these early stages, and we'll be there every step of the way. And it's just really nice to see that how the organization is stepping up to be there for her in any way they can. Okay, thank you, guys. New York's really tough. If anyone wants to